Wait, what did you say? Sasha, stop it. Who's there right now? Be a good girl. Can't just climb all over me. Lay down. Sasha, lay down. Dog's being bad. Who is here? Is anybody here this morning? I heard something wood. What? Is that a name? Last name? Were any of you spirits watching TV with me earlier? Do you say do you, dude? Were you watching the video on Sam and Colby? About the Conjuring house that they went to? Were you watching that? I'm seeing things. I think I'm seeing a shadow up there, but maybe it's I don't know. Do you spirits know anything about Sam and Colby? Do you think they fake evidence? Very what? I didn't catch that. Very what? Please try to speak clear, loud and slow if you can. I know some of you can. Your voice, yes.
They're performing.
Performing? Is that you, Hillary? Did you say Sam and Colby are performing? What does that mean, though? Does that mean they're faking? And do you know on the Conjuring episode they did, what was his name? Cody? Yeah, Cody and Satori. They did some supposed communication with spirits using knocking sounds. And they've been called out for using some kind of toe knocking, ankle popping thing. I saw a shadow over here. Is that true that they're faking that couple from the Conjuring house? Okay, I just heard something in the kitchen. What the fuck? Is there somebody in the kitchen? Why don't you come out here and talk to me on the box? I heard something move around the kitchen. I don't know what that was. Maybe something just fell. I don't know. I'm not going to bother looking now. I got this brat stuck to me, so.
No.
Did you say buttload? She won't want to get off. I'm really hoping she'll stop biting herself. She did this to herself. Either allergies or something. I don't know what's going on with her. But she got an allergy shot. She got flea meds. Her nails trimmed. She's not doing it as much. But you're just a hot mess, girl. Even your eyes look irritated still to me. Sometimes I think the spirits mess with her too. I don't know. She's been really reluctant to go out for me in the backyard. Do you go scare the dog? You do what to her? I heard something to her. What? Do you scare the... First what? I really wish you'd come through clear so I don't have to try to figure out what you're saying. Top of the roof. I was like singing. Are you on the roof? Are you going to do the knocking on the top? His spirit? Is that you, Hillary? I think I'm hearing that evil voice of yours. I guess you're back from Mike's. Did you get tired of playing with Mike? I still don't think I have all my spirits back from your place, Mike. I'm not hearing the cussing ones. I don't hear Mr. Sarcastic Guy, whatever his name is. Recovering? What are you recovering from? Actually, that might be him. This kind of sounded familiar. Is that you, Mr. Sarcastic? Can you say something funny? You guys aren't lighting up anything, really. Maybe the K2s? Can you light up a REM pod bear? When I was little. What about when I was little? What about when I was little? Were you around? If you were around when I was little, where did I live? Where did I live? You don't know, do you?
Dog associated.
Did she say something about so scathing? That wasn't Hillary. I don't know who that was.
Oh Lord.
Oh, Lord? Are these spirits intelligent or residual tonight? I wanted to get some replies about the Sam and Colby videos, but I guess you didn't watch or don't care. Do you think they're fakers or are they legit? Are you on, Mike?
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one. Why is that a hard one? You can't tell? Or are you saying that they are usually truthful but sometimes fake? Or what are we saying here? Because I'm sure even the fakers sometimes get legit evidence, but that doesn't mean that they're completely legit. I mean, places are haunted. Are spirits everywhere? Wish these guys were a little bit more interactive. It hasn't been quite the same for a while now. We've all been hanging out at Mike's. Or Hill House, maybe. Have you been hanging out at Hill House Inn? Have you spirits been hanging out at Hill House Hotel? What hotel? The inn? Did you say evil?
Also.
Who are you, lady? I don't think I know your voice. Where are you from? What's your name? Kind of hard to have a conversation when I don't know your name. Hello.
Resolution here.
Absolution here. What are you getting absolved of? Is that you on mic, or is that Wayne, or someone else? You miss a what? What'd you just jump for, dog?
Okay.
Okay. How many spirits are here? Do you know who CelinaSpookyBoo is on YouTube? I think it's Selena. Am I getting her name right? Wait, I don't think it is Selena. Something Spooky Boo with a C. Nobody's perfect. What do you mean nobody's perfect? Oh, Sasha. God, my face. Oh. Did you say Clinton? Did I hear you say Clinton? What about the Clintons? Can you light something up so I could see that you're present? REM pod cat ball, something, a lantern, music box. Come on, don't be lazy. Otherwise, I'll just go straight to prayers and turn this off. You can go back to Mike. Where are the regular spirits that I know? Did Mike do a binding spell on you? Is he keeping you at his house? Or is there somebody not letting you speak?
Let's go with a high.
Something with a heartbeat? Did you say something about a heartbeat? Can you speak louder? Whenever? Okay. Is that you, Hillary? I swear you changed your voice slightly, so I don't know. Is that you? Are you allowing other spirits to come through, Hillary? Are you being a bossy girl? Hillary, are you being the boss? Hello, can you like miracles? Can you perform miracles? Are you able to do miracles? Isn't something miracles only something God can do? Or maybe archangels, I don't know. Virgin Mary? Or saints, I don't know. But ghosts? I don't think ghosts can do miracles. You are just human ghosts, right? Or as evangelicals will say, you're probably all demons. I mean, I'm used to it. They don't scare me.
You know,
They did as a kid. I will admit they scared me as a kid, but I don't know. I'm used to them, I guess. I do think they mess with my energy levels, though. Do you spirits drain my energy? They do admit they drain energy from humans. Used to? Not anymore? Oh, yeah, bruises. That's not good. That starts to get into possibly demonic. I did as a kid. I did get bruises as a kid, so did my mother. And, yeah, bruises and scratches. But I don't now. I mean, they don't do stuff like that, even though I get some creepy ones that come through sometimes. But I do wonder if they make me sick. I brush it off, though, because I do have health issues, so I don't know for sure if it's them. It's actually not really the house, it's me that it's haunted. I know of an older couple that used to live here, but I don't think they haunt the house anymore. But I bring up their names sometimes. Is Rose Gant still here? She used to scare me when I was younger.
Country.
Country? What about the country? I recognize his voice. He's a regular. I don't know his name, though. But no, Rose Gant, I shouldn't be saying their full name, but her husband, the doctor, and her, they've moved on, I'm pretty sure. They were not bad spirits. Most of them, they follow me from other locations. And I think the neighborhood, too. Because I know the neighbors, her husbands, come through before. And he wasn't very friendly alive and isn't very friendly in the afterlife either. Is Richard here? Richard, are you here? Dick. He went by Dick. Ooh, that was a creepy voice. I just said adults here? I don't know. Why are you yelling?
I feel.
I don't recognize these voices that are coming through. They do weird things. They go to my friend's house who does this as well. And they come through on his sessions. What the hell? Oh my god. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay, I gotta go see what the hell's going on. It's never made that noise before. Oh, they drained the battery on the shit. God, that was creepy. That's been charging all day long. That should not be dead. Well, I guess I got to end the session early. That was creepy. Unless I just see if they'll light something up. Maybe they'll be less distracted. Sometimes I get disembodied EVPs too. Sasha, get down. Oh, see, they just lit up the air pressure pod over there. Sasha, get down. Where are you? I can't even see you. Oh boy. That was a creepy ass sound. Yeah, one of the pedals went out, so the batteries are drained. But that happened way too quick. They drained all that energy. Spirits, can you light some things up since my portal is dead right now? I still got REM pods and cat balls and lanterns that you could light up. What is D11? Oh, see, now they're messing with the focus on my phone. What the hell? I was going to do a video the other day. It was more of a critique on, but I can't think of her name right now. It's not. Is it CelinaSpookyBoo? I just learned of her not very long ago. I guess she does like these sleepwalking videos that I think are fake, but they're funny. She seems like a funny person. But she's done some paranormal ones that are very questionable. It seems like it's fake to me with the K2 meters and whatnot. But she did one video giving advice about hauntings and demonic hauntings, and I don't agree with what she said at all. Well, some of it I do. Her explanation of spirits being energy, that's pretty commonplace. Of course, people don't know what kind of energy they are. Um, but she mentioned with demonic hauntings that those who are oppressed or possessed have no control over it, and that they have to rely on others to help them, which is, I mean, that's partially true, but they need to help themselves too for it to actually work. You can't kick a habit like, for example, a drug habit unless you actually want to get off the drugs and fight it. You can't just have other people do it for you. It doesn't work that way. So a demonic attack is kind of like a virus. It's kind of like an addiction. They actually have one of the stages that's called what do they call it? Obsession. Well, they're really messing with the focus on my phone. I wish they wouldn't do that. It was just fine earlier. Spirit, stop it. But depending on who you talk to or what book you read on exorcisms, there's 3 stages. There's obsession, oppression, and possession, but there's others that have added 2 other stages that it's kind of a gray area. The explanation of what they are, and in which order they occur, but they also add what is it? Just said it. I'm drawing a blank here. I'm brain farting tonight. Um, Vexation, and there's another one. She doesn't mention them in her video, so I don't even know why I'm bringing it up. But obsession is basically what it sounds like. You get obsessed with the occult or the paranormal, or demonic things, and it's their way of influencing you. Some demons do try to befriend you or act like, even spirit guides. Sometimes spirit guides aren't really what people think they are. They might think they're guardian angels or angels in general, but a lot of times I would say they're probably earthbound spirits, human spirits in purgatory, or what I believe is purgatory. Or you get some that are demonic that pretend to be good spirits. And I've had some try to fool me too. Quite a few times, actually. but I usually catch on. Maybe it's just because I'm a psychic medium, I can tell. But there's signs, there's just wording that they use, and feelings that you get. Yeah. And I'm not going to say everybody should be doing what I'm doing. In fact, I really don't recommend it in a sense. I mean, I know people watch the YouTube channels and TV shows on the paranormal and think, oh, ghost hunting, it's cool, it's fun, you know. And it can be. It's exhilarating in its own way, but it could also be quite boring too, you know, if you don't really get much. But it does expose you to things. But it's not just ghost hunting that exposes you to potentially negative spirits. There's a lot of other things that are more likely to get you attachments, such as witchcraft or voodoo, or of course satanic occult related practices. Ouija boards. I mean, it's a form of spirit communication. I'm a little skeptical of Ouija boards. I think people fake it, but I've had priests, you know, so they say yes, that Ouija boards do encourage conjuring demons. Um, but even like pendulums and tarot card readings and getting psychic readings, Reiki. I mean, Reiki intrinsically, it's not considered a bad thing to those who do it, the New Age people, but it opens you up spiritually. And I've done it. I used to be in the whole New Age movement and Reiki and energy and healing and whatnot, but it does open you up to spirits, good and bad. So you have to be careful with that. And of course, other forms of Reiki or Reiki like. There's one that's called Kundalini that's I've even heard even more potent or strong. Um, and even yoga. People don't realize yoga is not just stretching, it's not just exercises, but it's actually the positions of the Hindu gods that you're basically worshiping the Hindu gods, which can potentially open up doors to, you know, if you're Christian and you know you don't want to be doing that, it can open doors at least. Um, and even watching horror movies can potentially cause things to stir up. And I've noticed when I've done that, you know, watching paranormal shows and horror movies, that activity picks up. For some reason, the spirits that hang around me don't like the Carrie movie in particular, both one and two. So I've had some weird things happen with that in the past, which my mother was a witness to when I was taking care of her before she passed. Um, but yeah, they actually shut down the movie, I remember, and a shadow figure appeared in front of the TV, and the lights flickered. And I ended up going back to the movie later. It happened a second time. And then there was another time I played the Carrie 2, and something similar happened. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's like, oh, they must not like the Carrie movie. And it was around the pig blood scene, too. So it's something you got to be aware of because you just don't know. He said, me and my sister just started ghost hunting just so we can talk to our grandfather. It worked, but now I think she's being followed by the wrong spirits. Yeah, and you got to be careful of that because you don't know if you're really talking to your grandfather. Because that's another thing demons do. They mimic voices. And they can even mimic the appearance, I've heard, of people. I haven't personally experienced that, like with my family members. But I have had them. Well, I've had spirits say that my brother's still around or has a message, or my mother has a message and they don't tell me. I think that's more like they're teasing me or taunting me. But I've been involved with demonic cases and other experiences in my past where I've heard like my mother's voice calling my name and I'm outside and she's bedbound. She's not able to walk, so I know it's not her calling me. Um, you know, so if you have something like that where somebody's calling your name, your mother, your father, or someone, and they're not present, that's not a good thing if it sounds like their voice. That's a form of mimicry. Some people actually consider them another entity, a mimic, but it's not. It's demonic. Um, even succubus, incubus spirits, they're sexual demons, basically. It's another form of the demonic. And I also think people that believe in elementals, I think, are mistaken spirits. I think they can be demonic or possibly animal spirits that don't intelligently engage with you, and it's usually out in the outdoors where people think they reside. So, but that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of the ones that believe in elementals, they're more into like the New Age or the, other occult religions or whatnot. So they're kind of open to everything, fairies, gnomes. I don't personally believe in those. I pretty much just believe in angels, archangels, demons. And then what we usually talk to, ghost hunting, paranormal investigating, are human spirits. And then, of course, the occasional animal spirit, cat, dog. I've definitely seen cats and dogs and heard them as well. So they're out there. I don't know where they're at. Like, where do your pets go? Do they go to heaven? Do they go to purgatory? Where do they go? I don't know. Are they still stuck on Earth? Are they just around temporarily? I have no idea. But anyways, going back to I guess it's Mrs. Spooky Boo. Her suggestion, if you have a demonic attachment, is to rub an egg all over. Oh, that was the air pressure pot again. Rub an egg all over yourself. And then she says not to smash it, but to leave it out in the country somewhere. And that's basically voodoo. It's some kind of witchcraft ritual, which wouldn't do anything. If anything, it might make it worse. She also mentioned like imagining the white light and shielding yourself. That's typical New Age belief. And I used to do that. Sasha, quit climbing all over me. I used to do that kind of stuff. It doesn't protect you. Imagining the white light, grounding yourself, I don't think really does anything. Crystal stones, you can wear stone bracelets. I believe that it's grounding and protecting you, but it really doesn't from evil spirits. The only thing that does is faith, your faith in Christ, prayer. They just like prayer. They just like holy water. They just like religious relics, anything blessed. So if you actually are dealing with something evil and demonic, that would be my suggestion, is to seek help from the church, to pray, to go to church. If you're not physically able to go to church and you're repelled by it, then you're dealing with something that's really attached to you and possibly bordering on possession at that point. But some of the common signs of demonic attack are anger and depression, and feelings of wanting to end your life or harm others. And the frustrating thing with the demonic is they mimic mental illnesses. They can cause mental illnesses. So there's a big gray area there for those who are skeptical or in the medical field. They're going to say it's schizophrenia, it's bipolarism, or whatnot. So it is a gray area. So you have to look for the paranormal signs and rule that stuff out. And medication's questionable with that too, with depression. It can make things worse if you're dealing with the demonic, potentially. But as you mentioned, the bruises, scratches, bites, waking up with that in particular, that's one of the signs of demonic attack. Some people say like things in threes, knocking, maybe. Because I have had many cases where people wake up around 3 a.m., 3:30, or 3:33 a.m. And that could be a mocking of the Trinity or mocking of the time that Jesus is believed to have passed on the way on the cross at 3 p.m. As I mentioned, mimicry, just mimicking voices of the living. It could be the dead too, though. And of course, that's harder to discern what's really your grandpa, or is it an evil spirit. Um, Other things that are common with the demonic is bad smells, which I've definitely experienced that I couldn't explain. Smells of like rotten egg sulfur, rotting flesh, cadaver smells. That happened here one time when I had a demon follow me from a home that I had cleansed and blessed. And this was early in my paranormal investigating days, before I really had any equipment. Probably about, I'm not sure how many years ago, 15, I'm guessing. But I was using more of my psychic senses and just cleansing the home, blessing the home, and it followed me for months. And it's a whole long story too, of it messing with the phones, talking on the phones, mimicking people's voices, appearing as a shadow like anaconda snake on the walls at home and at work. I think it possessed my disabled mother at one point. Um, and her and I smelt like a cadaver smell by her medical bed, which was actually out here in the living room where I'm at right now at the time. There were other things it would do, and it took a lot of cleansing prayers to get rid of it, but it took months. But luckily, I didn't have to get, the church involved. I was able to get rid of it eventually, but it definitely made things very difficult for me and my family. The lady whose home it came from, or apartment, I should say, she's been fine. I've talked to her even today, and she's doing great. She's married. She's happy. So obviously, it did leave her. But yeah, I try to follow up with cases I've done in the past of what I guess you could call blessings or deliverances. But I have actually done exorcisms too, or participated in exorcisms with a priest and a demonologist in the past. Um, but my scariest experience is kind of a long story. It actually happened on one of my ghost tours that I was doing at this old farmhouse in a town near me, which had negative spirits there already. I don't know if I would say they were demonic, but the farmer that lived there who owned the property claimed they were evil spirits. And he actually burned down the farm saying they were. He told me different stories. He said there were people partying in there and breaking in, but that was his workers, and him drinking in there. But no, then he said, changed the story to no, there were demons in there. And like I said, it's a long story, but I had two 20-something women, 20-something-year-old women come on the ghost tour. They did not sign up for it, and they were wanting help. And I'm trying to set up, so I really kind of half listened to them. But they had told me they had two priests and a psychic go to their house to no avail. They couldn't get rid of the entity there, and it would physically drag the brother around the house. And so they were wanting help from me, but I didn't end up getting their information. And during the ghost tour, they were provoking the spirits in the living room of this old farmhouse. It was probably from the early 1900s. And one of them went upstairs in one of the rooms that's notorious for a female spirit that kind of chokes women. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like hand strangling choking, but it's like there's something in your throat and you can't catch your breath. And it happened to me once, but usually it would happen to females. I even had one skeptical paranormal group come out, and it happened to her, the wife. But yeah, my friends that were helping me told me that one of them was acting weird in the room, and she's like frantic, almost ripping her hair out. So I asked them to bring her down. I was grabbing my holy water and crucifix from the back of my car, and I was praying over the one girl. the one who actually had the house where this demon thing resided. And I was getting names on the portal box that I was using. And I know they said Jezebel, Muhammad, which I thought was odd at the time. But come to find out, another tour guide told me her husband was Muslim. So I don't know what that was all about, but it was some kind of connection there with that. And there was the third name I forgot, but um, she almost had, it looked like she was having a grand mal seizure when I was praying over her. And with the job I used to do, I worked with occasionally young people who had seizures, grand mal seizures. So it kind of looked like that. She almost like passed out, but she kind of snapped out of it. And then I saw this very tall shadow entity come out of her and walk past the group of people that were there. On the tour was pretty much over at that point. And her friend saw it too. Nobody else did, but her friend also got one of the demon names. And I was like, well, how'd you get that? And she's like, I don't know. It just came to me. So everybody thought it was over. And they started to leave except for her and her friend. And then, and this is out in the dark. It's out in the moonlight. There's no street lights really. And then her friend started to choke. And I explained to her, you know, how one of the spirits was, we believe, hung by a noose. Because there was an old noose in one of the water towers in the back. And you know, I just say, you know, stay calm, it'll subside, it'll go away. But no, she starts to get on all fours on the ground and growls this really deep guttural growl that was not human. I mean, even a chain smoking male, I don't think, could make that sound that she made. It was like she was an animal. And I backed up and I was saying prayers on her. And I remember she was cackling and not laughing, like cackling like a witch over the St. Michael prayer. And she started to roll around the dirt, like I said, like an animal. And then she would look up at me with her black hair, long hair covering her face, like the girl from the Ring movie that comes out of the well. And I was like almost browning my britches, thinking she was gonna like jump on me or pounce on me. So I backed up like 8 feet at least away from her, and kept praying, spraying the holy water. I actually had it in a spray bottle. And her friend was trying to help her up at that point, and she tried to scratch her and said, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." And then she like look at me, like she's like pissed off, like she's gonna come charging at me like a leopard or something. But she eventually calmed down, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish packing up now. I gotta go. And I don't know what happened to them after that. I never heard from them again. They, like I said, they didn't sign up for their tour, the ghost tour. So I don't know what happened to but that was basically my first time of having a double possession and not being prepared for it, not having any backup. I didn't have a priest with me. I didn't even have my friends with me at the time because they'd already left after we thought it was over with the first girl. Yeah, I didn't want to say the SH word. But that's definitely my scariest experience with the demonic, although I've had other demonic cases that were really bizarre. I can go on and on. There was a Turlock case. Actually, this was in Turlock too. And she, just to kind of keep it short, I mean, some of the things that her family claimed she did were kind of hard to believe. Like she claimed she would climb the walls and try to choke her husband and son, like she was sleepwalking, I guess. But I did notice in the one, I guess it was the baby room, that there were footprints and fingerprints on the ceiling and wall. I think there were kid footprints too. There's a couple of homes where I actually had that experience where there were footprints up the walls and ceilings. So I don't know how they would fake something like that, but I was skeptical of that. But observed her come under, get possessed, or whatever you want to call it, a few times going to her house with a friend, or a former friend, I should say. I really couldn't get anybody else to go with me. He wasn't really somebody I would want to bring with me because I didn't fully trust him, but I didn't have anybody else there to be a backup, to be a witness for, liability reasons. But and there was a third person I brought along who videoed, and he wasn't much of a help either. I actually lost that video. I don't know what happened to it, but this lady would start screaming at her husband, telling him to get the boy's bed down from the second floor because it had cursed herbs in it. She claimed that one of her relatives, I think it was a cousin, was doing witchcraft Santeria on her. But I later found out that she was actually going to a Santeria shop in town, which I've been to, and it's definitely bad news. I talked to one of the bar owners next door, and he said they sacrifice animals in the back. It's like a compound, and he hears them sacrificing peacocks, among other animals. And my friend and I went by there one time with the spirit box, the portal, and the spirits were talking about murder. And in the door, you could see a bowl of meat and candles and statues, little creepy statues by the front door. And we kind of hightailed out of there at that point. But going back to this case, this home, she was screaming at her husband, and I could tell that they were influencing her. And I put a rosary on her and sprayed holy water and started praying over her. And she started to like roll around on the sofa. And then she started choking, and her eyes rolled back, and she like vomited up this foam. And the one friend with me, quote unquote friend, more an acquaintance really, was videoing like, this is good stuff. This is like the movies, but not much of a help. And she ripped off that rosary. I know I heard it ripped off, the beads scatter, but for some reason it was not broken. When we turned on the room was lit back up, the rosary was still intact. But I can go on and on about this case because it involved her father and stepfather. The stepfather actually got injured by the spirits. I can't remember if they scratched or bruised his stomach or both. And then one of them jumped from her to me. I had them both leave at one point when she was screaming at the spirits to get out of her house, and it actually took over me momentarily, and I started screaming like her, like almost sounding like her, like her. It was creepy. I don't want to experience that again. That was, I think, the closest thing I've gotten to a possession, personal possession, that I know of. She was supposedly raised Catholic, but she was going to that Santeria shop and having this witch, come back to her house, even after I tried to help her. And I'm doing this completely free. I felt bad for her. I actually was very frustrated. I started crying because I just felt like there wasn't anything I could really more do to help her. The spirits were not wanting to leave. They were threatening. They were claiming there was a body buried in the backyard, which was kind of odd because their little backyard, there was a shape in the grass where the dead grass was still green, in the shape of like a how do I explain it? Like, when you bury a body, that kind of rectangular dug up area that you would have. It was about the size of a person. I didn't dig it up, of course, but I don't know. But maybe the spirits were lying. I mean, they lie, so. But there was one point where this other guy and I left after trying to help them out. We went to a church because I was afraid to go home. I felt like the spirits were following us. We were seeing shadow figures all over. And in this church parking lot, which was closed because it was late at night, there was paranormal equipment going off in my car as we're standing outside of it, and then shadow figures darting around us. So I was freaked out. But no, she didn't follow through with anything I suggested. I suggested she get a priest to bless her house. I gave her holy water and rosaries and a crucifix. But no, she went to the whole occult way and got this Santeria witch involved, and I just gave up at that point. Yeah, it's very possible the witch left items because for her it's a business. If she could do curses and get her to keep coming back, or at least implant in her mind that she's cursed. And I used to be skeptical of curses. I still sort of am in a sense because I don't think that witches have power unless they are doing it indirectly through demonic attack. And I have had other paranormal cases that involved witchcraft, Santeria. Um, there was one case where they actually lied and denied that they were doing witchcraft, but I later found out that they were. That was a bad one too, because their pets were vomiting blood, and one of them manifested in the bedroom, I remember, and like freaked out her, and she had brought her friends and I think a neighbor too. And the neighbor insisted on bringing a little kid, which I did not want them there. I didn't want any kids there. They shouldn't be exposed to that, but they were very insistent on her being there. But anyways, that was a messed up case too. What do you mean by blocking? Yes, it is up to her to help herself. So that's where I get into the spooky boo girl. That claims that people who are being attacked by these demons, they can't help themselves. Yes, they can. I mean, they need help from other people too, but they need to be willing to help themselves. Oh, the little girl. I don't think anything really happened to her. She eventually left, but I know one of the spirits commented on the girl. I don't remember what she said. This was a long time ago. And that was like I said, I was not prepared for that case being demonic. They just told me that their apartment was haunted. And then pretty much right away when I walked in, I felt like it was evil. She'd already had her friend there with her kid. And then they started telling me all this other stuff about the dogs vomiting blood. And I was like, oh no, that's starting to sound demonic to me. I actually don't remember the details of that case as much as the Turlock one I was telling you about. Just because that one was a little bit more traumatizing, I guess you could say, for me. But no, I've had quite a few demonic cases. Some of them are not, it's not like the movies. It's more subtle. Like, you don't really see things flying around the room necessarily. Although I have occasionally seen stuff like that happen. I have not seen anybody that was possessed that climbed a wall. Although, as I mentioned, there were a few that had footprints on the walls or handprints. Um, I haven't seen anybody's head spin or anybody levitate. Although there was a Stockton case that I was involved with, an exorcist priest and some friends of mine, and I was running late for one time we were going there. And apparently, my friend had told me that the possessed lady, who was not very big, she threw a sofa across the room. That's not that's not normal human strength for even a male to do. And that's another bizarre case. I won't go into that one because that one it would take a while to explain that one. She was a very strange lady. That was very much involved with witchcraft as well. I don't think she was doing it. I think another relative was doing it on her. But she had some other issues going on. I think she had PTSD. She might have been bipolar. I know she had mentioned she was attacked in a park one time. Like, I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube here, but physically attacked. Um, that was a bizarre case though, because originally I didn't go there with the priest. I asked him to come. He actually drove out from another state, or flew out. Excuse me, flew out from another state. But I think she reacted more to me praying over her than him. She would like almost go to sleep, like almost pass out. And she would also leave the room a lot when I was asking her questions and praying for her, over her. And then we tried slipping some holy water in her coffee. And we did that, I think, at least 2 or 3 times. And she would go, "Oh, I'm not going to drink that shit. I know what's in there." And then when the priest was there, he's kind of a rogue priest. I shouldn't say rogue priest. He is a Catholic, but not Roman Catholic. He's another denomination. Um, for some reason, he didn't have a Eucharist or host, with him. But I'd suggest, why don't you give her communion? So he used tortilla, like unleavened bread, and blessed it and gave it to her. Um, she took it, but then I told my friend, I whispered to her, I go, I bet she's not going to swallow that. No, I think his denomination, what do they call themselves? Old Catholic Church or something? They're actually more, they lean more exorcist. They do more exorcisms more freely without getting the approval, from the bishop or the Vatican or whatever. Although the Catholic Church has changed their stance, I've learned that they're making it so I think all bishops have to be exorcists now. So there should be, a nearby exorcist priest in your diocese. However, it is still very hard to get them to actually help because they're usually skeptical and they're worried about lawsuits and mental issues, drugs. That's going to be what they're going to think initially. And they want you to see a psychiatrist. Sometimes it's a psychiatrist that they recommend. The other times, they want proof, from a psychiatrist you're not mentally ill. But the frustrating thing, as I mentioned earlier, is the demonic attack mimics mental illness. Demons can attack people with mental illness because they're easier to attack, or they can mimic mental illness. I think they can also make people serial killers and also make people unalive themselves. The S word I don't want to say. That's a big no-no on YouTube. But yeah, that's the most frustrating thing is it's the deception. The devil wants people to think it's just mental illness and you can give them pills. But sometimes it's not. It's not mental illness, it's demonic attack. Or both. So you have to look for the paranormal signs. And in the paranormal signs, there's no particular order on when they occur. They don't all occur. Like poltergeist activity doesn't always happen. When somebody is fully possessed, I would say a lot of times they do have abilities they would normally have, like psychic-like abilities where they know things they shouldn't know. And then that physical strength that's beyond human. Some say they could speak different languages. I don't know if I've really experienced that. I know the one Stockton case, she claimed she understood other languages. I know she did react to my Latin prayers. And I asked her one time what Dominus meant. And she puckered her lips like she had just sucked a lemon. And it was acting like she was going to vomit or something and left the room. But I've definitely heard spirits on the portal device I use, the communication device you're looking at, speak other languages. There was one home I heard one home where they sound like they were speaking Aramaic. and Hebrew, I would want to say. Not that I'm fluent in it or know anything about speaking those languages. I just kind of know what they sound like a little bit. But other signs of demonic, like I said, bruises, scratches, bites. I have a friend, actually, online friend, that got bit by a spirit a few months back, and he showed me photos of the bite marks too. It's on like his near his clavicle, I guess you could say, on kind of by his shoulder. Um, he actually thinks it's one of my spirits that did it, but I don't know. I don't know. I think he dabbles with the occult too. He says he's just interested in voodoo and the occult, but I don't know. I'm not judging, but don't blame me. um, but yeah, bad smells. Smells of feces, urine, rotten meat smells. That's pretty common. I don't know if everybody can sense that. Like if you go to a house that's demonically, or I shouldn't say house, it's usually a person that's demonically haunted. If you will smell it, because that might be like a psychic ability that not everybody has. Not everybody sees ghosts, not everybody hears ghosts, and not everybody smells spirits. But usually with demons, they make things known in their own way. So you might get touched, you might get physically attacked or sick. That's another thing they do. They can make you chronically sick. I know one case where, and it was kind of an unresolved one, but again, it's them not wanting to help themselves. But then again, I don't know how they had this brought on them. It might be one of those situations where it's the location, because they're not bad people, they're just not religious. But her daughter, and I think her daughter's boyfriend had a seizure too. But the daughter had a seizure and she was not medically predisposed to have that kind of, issue medically. And her husband later got cancer. I'm trying to think of what kind of cancer it was. I think he's in remission though. He went through treatment, went through chemo. But demons can do that. They can make you sick. I'm not saying everybody has cancer by any means is demonically attacked, but the demonic attack itself is like a disease. It's like a virus. They can make you sick. They can mess with your mind. And if you have mental issues already, or if you're drinking or on drugs, that's just even made to make it even worse. And if you don't have the religious faith, you don't have that mental fortitude and the faith, you're going to have a hard time fighting it off. And what else do they do? The mimicking. I mentioned that to someone earlier. The mimicking the living's voices that are not present. Shadow figures. That one's a gray area. That's kind of a pun there. Sorry. Not all shadow figures are evil or demons. They're human spirits, ghosts, or animal spirits. But there are situations where you get some that are like extremely large or very small and very solid. Sometimes they have eyes. And I've seen like white eyes, red eyes. I've seen all kinds of creepy entities, little hooded goblin troll like things that don't quite look human. And tarantula snakes, shadow figures. And the Hat Man I've seen before too. I think that was following somebody that I was with at the time. I don't know exactly what the Hat Man is or who he is, but I do believe he exists. Maybe it's Satan himself, I don't know. Uh, But yeah, shadow figures, I would say most of the time they're just human spirits, ghosts, or animal spirits. They're not necessarily demon. And demons can also be light anomalies. And I don't think the color of the light anomaly really matters. I've seen in some demonically haunted homes white, anomalies that I didn't. They were not good spirits. Yellow ones, pink ones, red ones, blue ones. I don't think a color necessarily means good or bad. I'm surprised these guys aren't lighting up any of my equipment. Are there any spirits here, or are you just listening? Well, yeah, they completely drained my spirit box, so that's why I'm having this little discussion. I wanted to do a better video on that CelinaSpookyBoo, or whatever her name is. Because the whole rubbing the egg thing on you, that's not going to get rid of a demon. That's just occult related witchcraft stuff. Other things you see people do are using like black salt, brick dust, gopher dust. That's all voodoo, witchcraft. Tar water, that's voodoo or hoodoo. I don't recommend those. Holy water, yes. If you can get holy salt from a Catholic or Orthodox church, I'm not sure how you go about that. That would be best because you can make your own holy water in that case. Or if maybe you can bring sea salt to a church, have the priest bless it, then you can make your own holy water whenever you need. Holy oil, that's fine. Incense, I don't recommend sage. Sage is so ubiquitously used. It has kind of pagan connections with Native Americans and New Age witches. I don't really think sage works with demons. I think it's fine for a regular haunting to temporarily drive them out. And it is temporary. No matter what you use. You can use frankincense and myrrh, it's still going to be temporary. It's like a bug bomb. It just chases them out for a while. And with demons, it's hard to say how long it would last. It could last maybe a day, a week. They can go into remission for maybe a few months, but it's not going to be more than that. And more than likely, it'll just last a day or days. But it's something that you can do on the regular, as long as you're not opposed to smoke. And frankincense and myrrh do smoke up really good because they're resins. But I mean, you could use incense sticks. It doesn't have to be, anything special. Whatever scent you like, rose scent, lavender, whatever. I just don't recommend sage. People that play with Ouija boards irresponsibly are so often releasing these entities close to them, and these are well known to follow a family like a curse for generations. Very possible. I'm a little skeptical of Ouija boards because I think they're easily faked, but I mean, it's possible. I think a lot of the movies have made it a stigma. I just don't think they're a reliable form of communication with spirits. Same with pendulums and dowsing rods and table tipping, and I think that's all easily faked. Have you heard of flies appearing for no reason? Yes, flies is a form of infestation. Oh, that's the one stage I forgot about, infestation. And I think some claim it's the last stage. I don't know about that, but yeah, infestation. I've experienced that as a kid in the home I grew up in. Weird bug infestations that suddenly happen. Flies, ants, spiders, silverfish. Yeah, the home I grew up in, I know the background story now. I didn't when I lived there about what happened with prior residents that lived there. There was abuse that was going on with the father and his kids. The son shot him in the house. There were a few deaths in that house. Um, all that was in my dreams. I had reoccurring dreams that related to that. I found out years later, but I think he haunted that house. He acted like a demon. I don't know if he really was a demon. I think he influenced my family. I think he caused my parents to drink and fight when I was little, although they did finally quit drinking and smoking. Um, and then my brothers were on drugs and very nasty to me. But we didn't talk a lot about the paranormal. I just know my mother and I would see things, shadow figures. She saw a head coming out of the ceiling in her room that she thinks was a relative that's deceased, but I don't think it was. We would get bad smells. There would be like hot spots and cold spots in the house that were strange. As I mentioned, bug infestations. Um, we even had like cops that would show up in the middle of the night claiming the neighbors said that there was somebody who jumped into our backyard. But there was a spirit that, and this is one of the reasons I didn't sleep in my bedroom hardly ever. It was in the back of the house, is because I would see a shadow man out there and hear him stomping around in the gravel. And I would freak out. And this is, summertime. I got the windows open because it's hot back there. We only had like a swamp cooler on the other side of the house that didn't really cool the back. So I would freak out and roll the window shut. But I rarely slept in my bedroom. I usually slept out in the living room. Um, I would always hear things, see things. But yeah, I do think there were some evil spirits there. Another thing that it would do is it would turn the doorknobs, the front door, my bedroom door, and then my brother, much later as an adult, mentioned that his doorknob would turn too. My mother believed me, my dad didn't. He's always been an atheist skeptic. But the funny thing with him is we all experienced hearing a gunshot in the house. This is actually the house I'm in now, not the one I grew up in. We heard a gunshot in here a long time ago that we could not explain. It only happened once, but I still think it was connected to that spirit from the house I grew up in Livermore. Oh, and another odd thing to kind of confirm my haunting, aside from the neighbors knowing about it, and one of them, she actually told me what happened. That's how I found out about the prior residence. But she said that's the reason why she'd never let her daughters spend the night because they were friends with my older brothers, half brothers. It's because she knew what happened in that house and they knew it was haunted. But I found out on a website. I'm trying to think of the name of the website. It's about like ghost stories and hauntings. I can't think of the name of it, but it mentions the specific street I lived on. And it said back in the 70s, and I lived there in the 70s and 80s, late 70s and 80s. They mentioned the early 70s as there was a demon that would try to make cars get in accidents on that corner. And I was like 2 doors down from the corner where I lived, and people would see it. So it's something that was like well known, I guess, in the area, but I'd never heard of it growing up. But yeah, my mother believed me. My brothers didn't really talk about it. My dad didn't believe. My mother and I would get bruised and cut in bed. I think with her, I don't know if she tried to brush it off as her multiple sclerosis, but I mean, that's not really something that happens. I know you're, I think, a little more tender, with that condition, but didn't explain why I was getting it. Yes, it would have been nice to know that. I've kind of wanted to go back to the house. I mean, a lot of people have moved in and out, I've heard, but they would think I'm nuts if I let them know why I'm there. Um, yeah, that was not fun growing up there. I had a very miserable childhood living there. Plus, the neighborhood people were pretty trashy, and kids picked on me, and teachers picked on me. That's partially why they moved me by the time I started high school. But then this house ended up being haunted too. However, However, now though I've come to realize from my communications with the spirits that a lot of them are following me from other locations. Sometimes they tell me where, sometimes they don't. Actually, a lot of times they don't. But I've had some mention the town I live in or specific streets or the highway or hotels that I've investigated. Sometimes they tell me their names too, but they want help. A lot of times they want help. Although I'm not getting the help as much as the help requests as much as I used to. I've had some tell me that prayers help them, and that is something that Catholics believe, is that you could pray for people in purgatory to help them move on to heaven. Although my personal belief, I don't know if they always go to heaven from purgatory. I just think it's kind of an in-between hell and heaven. I mean, they should eventually move on, but I don't know if they always move on to heaven, because some of them are pretty malicious. You get some ghosts that are really nasty, that act like demons. And that's another thing in the paranormal, is a lot of these spirits are bluffing. They say they're demons, but they're not. They're human. But they can still be nasty. They can still mess with you. They can still drain your energy. Oops, damn it. Sorry, I dropped my glasses here. They can, I do think they could physically touch you. I've been touched a lot by spirits, so I can't just say it's demons doing that. And I've had ones that scratch too. I don't usually get scratched. I did have it happen recently at the Carey House Hotel in Placerville, California. The spirits there apparently don't like me. Am I sitting on you, Sasha? I'm sorry. Yeah, and then they messed with my friend too. Last time we were there, he had something follow him home and made him sick and angry. There's a lady that works there too. Well, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but there's somebody there that says not to provoke the spirits because they will make you sick, and that's what happened. It seemed to be true. But I've been scratched at a friend of mine's house last New Year's, I think. Yeah, she had like a New Year's party, and I got scratched in the back there. But they don't usually mess with me here too much. I do think they drain my energy though. I get like what they call a hangover from ghost hunting. You get drained for a day or two, or three sometimes. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with your comments here. We get those who come around when someone is sick. They call themselves soul collectors. Oh, that's scary. And will cause the person who is sick to remain sick or get sicker. Yeah. I don't even like talking about this. I had an experience at the hospital. And I've had them follow me from this Kaiser hospital too before. They make it known. But before my mother passed away, and it wasn't completely natural how she passed. She was neglected by the care home during COVID lockdown, couldn't visit her. I had a premonition about this happening, but I forewarned them, can you please do blood work and send her to the hospital? She wasn't sounding right on the phone. She didn't have mental issues or dementia or anything. She had MS. She had health issues, but she didn't have mental health issues. She was able to converse, but they lied to me. They told me that they did blood work on her, and several days later, she died from UTI sepsis, blood poisoning. But I had them investigated, and come to find out they lied. They never did the blood work on her. But before she was sent over to this skilled nursing facility, and I think it's in Stockton or Lodi. I think it's in Stockton. At the Kaiser Hospital, she When I went in her room, I think I wasn't feeling good right away. And the nurse came in. I saw a shadow figure follow the nurse in the room and didn't say anything because, I don't want to sound crazy. It was right after that, excuse me. I started feeling sick after the nurse left and wanted to vomit and also, like, go to the bathroom. But I knew it was paranormal. So I kind of quickly left. I said, I'm sorry, I got to go. I'm not feeling good. And the moment I walked out the door of the hospital, I felt fine. I didn't even go to the bathroom because I was like, I know this is paranormal. So I walk out the building, I'm fine. And I don't know if that was like the Grim Reaper or what I saw, but I think it's kind of like what you said, Soul Collector. Or maybe it's just other spirits that are like feeding off of people's energy in the hospital. Hospitals are very haunted places, and I've talked to other nurses and caregivers. They all have ghost stories. It's very common. Care homes, too. Well, care homes they probably don't talk about as much, but hospitals, I think they're a little bit more willing. What is the state of limbo considered in the church? Limbo. When I grew up, they said it was a place that babies that are unborn or aborted go to. I think that's partly the case. I think it was also a place that people would go before Jesus died for our sins. And I think I don't know what level, but it's like on the very outer edge of hell, I think. Or I know purgatory is considered on the very outer edge of hell. But I'm kind of wondering if that's more like a Dante's Inferno influence versus actually the Catholic Church. I just heard a weird noise. I don't know if that was a motorcycle. It sounded like a growl. Of course, you're probably hearing my dog licking too. Stop licking, Sasha. Um, I think it's pretty obvious, though, that purgatory is overlapped with where we're at on Earth because the spirits wouldn't be coming through otherwise and interacting with us. And I do think some of them want help. I mean, they say they want help. They don't tell me how to help them usually, but I have had a few rare ones say praying for them. They bring that up. They're actually saying that more now. But there are other ones that are just here to like mess with people. They think it's funny. They're trying to scare them. And then you have others that want to be left alone. That's pretty common too to hear like get out, leave. Especially locations where, you've never been, you go to some haunted house or a hotel and the spirits are like get out, leave. So they just want to be left alone. But I've had them tell me they're frustrated and miserable and then you get other ones that say they're happy. I've even had a few rare ones say that they're in heaven or trying to go to heaven. But I just don't believe they're angels. I don't know. I think they're still earthbound or in purgatory. I mean, I have had an Archangel Michael encounter. That's another long story. It was a visual one and auditory. I did hear him speak on the portal a little bit, but more than that, I heard other spirits say that he was around, and they were negative spirits saying, like Saint Michael's coming, run, hide, kind of thing. And I think even they bring up Gabriel on occasion. I don't hear it as much now as I did back then, but back then I was doing the demonic cases. I was doing the cleansings and the exorcisms. So I think he was helping me. But I'm not really doing that now because it is very draining and physically taxing, on you to do that. And it's also frustrating because a lot of those people don't want to help themselves. They're not grateful. They don't comply. They don't try to get help from the church. They don't try to go to church. They don't, um, They might. A lot of them are not Catholic necessarily either. So going to confession is not a concept that they would be willing to do or wanting to do. But they could at least go to their church and pray and ask for or get communion and have somebody come and bless them in their home, and then try to attend church. And then some of those cases also involve needing to forgive people that they held animosity, to another family member, usually another family member. And it could be abuse related. Oh, that's another thing that seems to cause, or I don't know how to word it, to stir up demonic attack, is abuse. And it's not fair because the person is the victim of the abuse, either as a child or an adult, but then they get demonically attacked sometimes because of that. It's not fair. I don't understand it, but it could be because the abuser is demonically influenced, and that can affect the family, so that could be why. And they're also emotionally and mentally vulnerable. So that's kind of an easy access too for them. Just like if you're doing drugs or an alcoholic, you're mentally weak, so you're vulnerable to attack as well. And if you're not religious, that just makes it all the worse. You believe in being assertive and not provoking? Yeah. I mean, I've done some provoking before, but it's spirits that I'm familiar with. It's usually at home where I do it, because I'm not afraid of them. But I don't recommend provoking because you just don't know what will happen. Yeah, a lot of times they don't like me. They don't like me praying. But I will get some that, and this is kind of common, they'll say my full name, they'll say the name of my brother, they'll um, say he's not in a good place. And I think they do that because of the way he died. He ended his own life like a year after COVID. Not because of COVID, but a year after COVID. He was just going through depression with his ex wife and his son, who didn't want anything to do with him anymore, and his health issues and being alone. I saw that coming for quite a while and told my parents, he's going to actually explain how he was going to die. And he did die that way in a tub, drowned in a tub. But the spirits, they know, and they like to taunt. Or I'll have them say like personal stuff. They'll make fun of how I look. They'll say I'm fat, I'm stupid. They say it to my friend too. They cuss. So they're definitely not all nice. I'm not saying those ones are demons necessarily, but they're just not nice spirits. The air pressure pod keeps going off, but I haven't seen any cat balls go off or REM pods. Are you spirits here? They do listen to everything you say, and it's very frustrating because, I tell people this stuff and they're listening and they use that against you. That's how they learn things about you, too. You said you work with spiritually gifted kids, and at times I was able to have conversations with their angels. I was told the state we find ourselves in next is a realm called limbo. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with kids in the past. I've had a few weird paranormal experiences, actually, quite a few. some of them were connected to a kid. Like there was this one high school kid, and I had just walked in the classroom, and the teacher was still there. He was kind of like, getting things ready, with the students. And one of them was glaring at me. I actually had another staff person too. I think she was a psychologist or counselor. I'm not sure why she was there, but this one kid kept glaring at me and giving me this evil grin. And I tried to ignore him, but I finally said, "Can you please stop staring at me?" And then suddenly, the teacher tells him to knock it off, and the kid jumps up and starts cussing up a storm, super angry. And then the teacher had to kick him out, and I was like, was that some kind of demonic thing? I mean, I don't know. What the hell's that about? The kid didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was. Why was he so angry? Um, yeah, I've come across a few other ones that had special ed mental issues that sounded kind of evil. One kid wanted to kill another kid, and I think it was in fourth grade. He was making death threats. I had to report it, and the principal was like, "Oh, he's never done that before." And it was like the very moment the day started, I get there, and that happens like right away. When the other kid was like staring at him, whoever the teacher was had them arranged so they weren't even facing each other. Like one was in the front, one was in the back. The kid was autistic, I know. He was like a high functioning autism because he was in a regular classroom. But yeah, he even made like a gesture, like slit the throat, wanting to kill him. But yeah, I've had a lot of interesting jobs sub teaching back when. Yeah, some paranormal ones too. There was a classroom where I think the teacher's father passed away, and I was there for multiple days. It wasn't a classroom; it was like a resource classroom. So you get a few kids that come in for help, with their work. And there was some weird poltergeist stuff going on in the room, and it freaked out the other adult aide that was in there. I was like, "Does that door normally close on its own?" She's like, "No." And then there was another time where on the table where I was working at, there was I don't know how to explain it, like a shelf ledge on the table that was full of books or something, and it went flying off of there. And I thought one of the two kids kicked it, and they're like, "No, no, no, we didn't kick it." But whatever did it must have had a lot of energy because that was not lightweight. What was kicked off of there? And then there were also light anomalies and orbs, although I'm kind of skeptical orbs. But these orbs were intelligent. I think I have a video somewhere of it. But it wasn't a YouTube live video, it was just a regular video. But I'm pretty sure I uploaded it to YouTube. But I asked the spirits or orbs to touch the bear on the shelf, and they did. So that was kind of a weird experience there. I think I was there almost a week. And I've had another classroom where a rocking chair kept rocking on its own. And I kept going to kids, "When did you kids do that?" Because some of them were getting water at the water fountain. But they're like, "No, it's the spirit of the janitor." And they were very like nonchalant about it, like, "This happens all the time." um, what else do I have? Oh, there was another classroom where I brought a cat ball, one of those motion cat balls that light up, and it rolled around the table, and that was lighting up on its own. I like to go to Goodwill store with my K2 meter and check out the old dolls. Oh, that's a great idea. I've never done that. Although I don't know if I should be bringing haunted items to my home. I probably already have some. I have some dolls from a demonic case that the grandmother wanted to get rid of. And I know shortly after that, I did a session, and the spirits said they were in the backseat of my car. They actually said the spirits were sitting in the backseat of my car, but those dolls were in the backseat of my car at the time. Yeah, it'd be nice to share pictures. I do have paranormal pictures. Some of them are pictures of taken by ghost tour guests of mine. I think I have one really good one from a friend, a paranormal friend. I have one from a grandmother at a demonic case, the one that followed me for months. That's really creepy. It looks like, how do I explain what it looks like? It looks kind of like Nosferatu, the original Dracula. And I've seen entities that look like that before. Like pale, bald, naked, like long fingers. Yeah, very creepy. Oh, I'm not trying to ignore you. Did you? What did you ask? Oh, you asked if I'm a medium. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm a psychic medium. It took me a while to accept that, but it got to the point where there were too many coincidences to be a coincidence anymore. I think the big awakening was the finding out that my dreams I had as a kid related to the home I lived in, the murders, the deaths that happened in my home. I also had a premonition of me getting in a car accident and then later that night getting in a car accident. Are you Japanese, Hikomori? Japan's got some interesting paranormal stories there. It always seems to be a woman in white with long black hair covering her face. I don't know if that's just a traditional thing or stereotype. But even here, we have a lot of stories in the States of the lady in white or the lady in pink or the red lady at the Tonopah Hotel, excuse me, and not the Tonopah Hotel, it's the Mizpah Hotel in Tonopah, Nevada. Her name's Evelyn, and she has followed me and my friend Mike. I don't think she currently is following us, but she has before. We've been there a couple of times. I guess Hikamori left. I'm not saying the name right, am I? Hikikomori? Is that how you say it? It's interesting though. Now that I'm thinking of it. One of the ghost tour locations I used to do frequently is Lock Chinatown, which was featured on Ghost Adventures years back, and it is a very haunted location. It's a really good location. The spirits there, though, if you provoke them or they don't like you, they will scratch you. I've had many people on the tours get scratched, and they were people that provoked or were skeptical and cynical. I got scratched a little bit, I think, once, but I was kind of going along with teasing the spirits. They were mad. Oh, they punched me one time too. I forgot about that. They punched me. I had these comedians. It was a private event from Sacramento, and one of them was really provoking the spirits, and Satan in particular, and getting them riled up. And he got scratched on the back of his neck, and then later they like punched me in the arm. It was kind of like the after effect of the sore arm, and it was discolored too. It was kind of purpley red and raised. But it's like they were mad at me for, I guess, going along with that. But they're not very nice spirits there in Locke. They're very morose and grouchy. They're not funny. They're not really friendly. And there is possibly something evil there. I've had them say there's a demon there before in one of the houses. That's not on the ghost tour, but it's one of the houses they made into an apartment that used to be a what do you call it? A boarding house for the workers, the Chinese and other laborers. There were other ethnic groups there. It's not just Chinese. They claim, but there were workers on the farms and the levees they built to drain the land and contain the river. Um, but yeah, that location, we go in three of the buildings that Ghost Adventures went in: the schoolhouse, the Dai Loi gambling hall, which has a brothel upstairs. That the historical society doesn't really talk about the brothel part, but it's pretty obvious that that's what it was used for. They even had like little lookout peeking holes, or not holes, but windows, so they can kind of keep an eye on things down below. And then the other building we go in is the Tong, which is like a kind of like they call the Tong Mafia, but they consider themselves a benevolent society. Excuse me, I got indigestion here. That building's been the more active one, actually. I haven't been there in, I think, a year now. It's been a while. But yeah, shadow figures, doors opening, knocking. We've gotten disembodied screams before. People getting touched, scratched. I have I think a couple of photos. Yeah, a couple of photos of people getting scratched. Some of the other ones I think I lost on my computer. But I have one of my friend that got scratched and he provoked, and this other paranormal investigator guy got scratched the worst I've seen there. Down his back, 3 scratches. Kind of bloody looking ones too. Yeah, but I've had empaths and other people that are sensitive get sick and have to leave the buildings before, especially the Dai Loi. It's a good location, and across the way there, a few minutes away is the Ride Hotel. That's also extremely haunted. Ghost Adventures decided not to do a film there. I guess they thought it wasn't really haunted, but they were very wrong. However, the people that run it are not doing a very good job of maintaining the building and the historical, nature of it, the look of it. It's pretty run down. It's mostly like a wedding venue, and they like to hide that it's haunted now. Got disconnected there. So yeah, I can't really go there ghost hunting, but I used to go there all the time. Very haunted. Spirits there are also not very nice. They're more mischievous. They're kind of like the ones that are here sometimes. And they also scratch and break glass. And that was something that I witnessed too, as I'm breaking glass. They did it in the kitchen. They did it in the dining room and cut one of my friends. They shattered her. She had like a fluted glass. And they broke a window one time when I was with the manager. What else did they do? Weird sonic booms in the stairwell I can't explain, but it scared one of the guests. She was a little tipsy, older lady, and she took off. She decided not to stay there that night. Light anomalies, getting touched. I've had them make my car not run. Actually, that happened in Locke too with some of the guests and me. One of my early tours, they like 3 of our cars were not running right after the tour. And the spirits would comment on that too, that they do that. But yeah, it's an interesting location. Most of the locations I go to, they don't do stuff like that. I mean, getting scratched, it's not that common. Well, I didn't intend for this to be like a me blabbing here, but since they drained my portal box battery pack, I had to end that session early. But you guys are not lighting up anything. Can you light something up before I end this session or this video? Are you spirits there? Can you light up a REM pod, a cat ball, something so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself? But yeah, they come and go. I get visitors. I get ones I don't recognize. I've been getting that a lot lately. Ones I don't recognize your voice. I've been hearing my regulars, quote unquote, at my friend's house during his sessions because they have trademark things they say, little cuss words they say, including one they say prick, which for me is kind of personal because that's the term my father would use for me and my brothers when we were kids. It's not really a common one that you hear nowadays, I don't think. But they also would use the W word, the C word. That's more of a British thing, I think, and the F word and the other F word. It has to do with sexuality. Or call us idiots or fat. And I have past videos of them saying that, so plenty of proof of that. And now you guys are messing with my focus. Why don't you light up something instead of messing with my phone, please? A little tap there. I don't know if that was the heater. Can you light up something so I know you spirits are here? Oh, thank you, Teresa. Yeah, I've had people, I get so many comments. I get Bible thumpers that say I'm talking to the devil and I'm going to hell. And it's not my intention to conjure anything evil, but I mean, sometimes creepy spirits come through. That happens anywhere, though. Any paranormal investigator, they come across ones that are not nice. But no, my purpose of doing this is, well, for one thing, I'm living with them, so I have no choice. If I ignore them, they actually drive me nuts. One thing they've done in the past, if I don't talk to them, is they will knock over things and spook the dog and make noises, keep me awake. But one thing they love to do is like knock things off the shelves. I've had stories I could tell of them actually chasing off some of the caregivers that would help me care for my parents when I had both of them here. My mother's passed on now. My father's in a care home. They still bring up him, though, by name. And actually, his care home's haunted as well. Go figure. But yeah, I've had them scare caregivers. The one they chucked the water bottle at. I had another time where they opened the front door wide open because I think it's because they didn't want the hospice people here that were giving me a hard time about sending my parents to the hospital for UTIs, which they don't want you doing when you're on hospice. Oop, is that a REM pod I heard? I've had them. Well, the guy they chucked the water bottle at, he had spirits following him too from another place he worked at. It was I guess it was a care home for the mentally ill or something. So he would get a candle smell, kind of a vanilla paraffin wax candle smell. That would follow him here. I would smell it. I had another lady, a caregiver. She was actually a good one though, but she was a little odd. She was a medium. She kind of like an adult kid. I mean, her personality. She had dolls, that were haunted. Oh, I just heard a noise. What was that? She had haunted dolls, and I guess they creeped her mother out. She made them get rid of them because they would swing on, their little swing or whatever. But every time she would come over, I would see things. I would see shadow figures. There was one time I saw almost the full body, I guess you can call it a full body apparition of a Jewish rabbi, like a Hasidic Jew with curly locks, a black hat. Turned around, looked at me like he was startled. I looked at him and gasped, and he disappeared. She said she was of Jewish ancestry, even though she was from El Salvador. She had like Jewish blood in her. Um, she also had a ghost cat that would follow her, I would see. I don't have ghost cats here. Well, I take that back. There might be a ghost cat. I definitely have a ghost dog, my old dog. And I've heard dogs occasionally, rare occasionally, bark on the portal box. You should go to the most haunted ship. What ship would that be? The only ship I've been to that's haunted, at least I believe it's the only ship I've been to, is the Hornet in Alameda, California. And that is definitely haunted. I had an experience there of seeing, I thought it was a real person. I was on one of their ghost tours and they were taking us around. God, I feel like something's touching me. I hope that's just a bug. But yeah, we were going up these stairs and you have to really watch your head that you don't hit your head when you're my height. But I wasn't going fast enough and I had everybody go ahead of me. So I was the last person going up the stairs at one point, and I saw somebody follow me up the stairs, and it looked like somebody that was in a sailor suit. And then when I got to the top, the person didn't come up the stairs, they just disappeared. So that was an interesting experience there. But one thing about that location I'm not wild about, aside from hitting your head on pipes and stuff, is I think it's because it's encased in metal. The SB7 radio, my portal doesn't work there because it doesn't get any reception really. Although I didn't try using a voice recorder, that might have worked. But yeah, I've been there a few times, I believe now. It is a fun location. Oh, I did have one other weird experience there. We were going through the burn ward, I guess they call it, where people are injured, and I got very emotional. It hit me really quick too. I got very emotional. I don't know why I was starting to cry. I actually like fell over in one of the hammocks and almost like snapped my neck falling over that thing. But yeah, I was like bawling and people were looking at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, I don't know why this is happening, but I just can't quit. And it took me a while to calm down. But I think it was a spirit that was like channeling through me and conveying his emotion. I think it was a him. Yeah, I've had that occasionally happen, or no, I've had it happen quite a few times. I take it back. The Lock Chinatown, I've had times where I channeled people's relatives or friends that passed away on the tours and described how they looked and their personalities, and I think even got some names. I had one lady, she actually walked out of the building. It was bittersweet for her because it was, I don't know, she was just emotionally not prepared for that, I guess. But I don't like to channel. I don't try to channel. It just happened quite a bit back then. Um, for me, it's not like a possession. I mean, channeling's different. It's like almost like daydreaming. It's hard to explain though. But I always seem to get emotional. course, a lot of these cases were people's lives who ended abruptly, or they ended their own life. You know, the S word that you can't say on YouTube. Yeah, no, I feel like on myself when it happens, it's just it plays like a movie in my head, and I kind of feel like I'm daydreaming, like not fully there. It sounds really strange if you are skeptical or have no clue what that's like, but I know there are other people that claim to be trance mediums that actually change their voice. But I'm a little skeptical of those ones that do that, unless they actually can make the voice of the person's relative and they can confirm it, which I've not seen happen. But usually it's like some other weird voice that they use to sound like they have a spirit talking through them. Yeah, they mess with my phone. Why do you say girl ghost though? But yeah, they do mess with my phone. They make it go out of focus, and they're doing that right now. I keep touching the screen trying to get it to focus. And it's not because it's dark in here. I mean, that you would think it would be that, but I do sessions in this kind of lighting all the time, and they don't do it all the time. I don't get too many kid spirits, but I have had some come through. I've had a little girl, little boy randomly come through. The weird thing is, I've had them tell me, "No, I'm not summoning a demon." They've had them tell me that they're hungry or thirsty or cold, things that you wouldn't think that a spirit would experience because they don't have a body. But no, Jake, I'm not summoning a demon. I'm just having a discussion, ghost stories. My portal box I was using to communicate earlier, but they drained the battery, so it's not working right now. I was hoping they would at least light up some of the equipment that's out there. You can't see it all, but they were being very lazy this morning. So it's fake. Okay, well, if you want to believe that, that's fine. What's the scariest thing they've done, like at my house? Or with places I've gone to? Because I was telling stories of demonic cases I've been to, so I have lots of scary stories. No, it's not fake. That's why I do my videos live. You can watch my past live videos, they talk. I just don't have it running right now because they drained the battery on my portal box. Very early, too. I didn't have it running very long. So I kind of turned this into a discussion. So there's people been coming in asking questions and stuff. Spirits, light something up, please. Yes, they are messing with my phone when it gets blurry. I don't know if they're draining the energy or if they're like in front of it or what they're doing. Can you spirits knock at least? Can you knock on something? Okay, there's a little tap right behind me there. That probably didn't pick up on the video though. You have to knock pretty loud to hear it on the video. Can you light up a cat ball out there on the shelves, please? But yeah, I get visitors, I get some regulars, I get some that are friendly and some that are mischievous, and some that try to be creepy, evil sounding. I do have an older video from several years ago. Oh, see, they lit up a cat ball finally. Thank you. You guys see that? Rainbow colors there. What was I saying? Oh, I have a video where I was saying the St. Michael prayer in the kitchen. This is when I had a demon that was lurking around and it growled, a very loud growl on there. But he did go away. I don't think I heard him after that. I don't think you're the only one watching. I think there's a couple of people. I don't know. I don't get the right numbers on here, or at least YouTube doesn't tell me the right numbers. Oh, there's another cat ball going off. Thank you. Whoever's doing that. What about a REM pod? Can you light up something that makes a noise? A lantern? A bear? I don't have all my equipment. I have some still packed away in my car, but I do have quite a few things they could light up if they wanted to. Can you light up a noise-making device, please? I heard a faint tap. I don't think that'll come up on video either. Can you tap 2 times loud? There was a tap. That was 1 time. Can you tap 2 times loud? Yeah, quit messing with my phone. So it'll focus, please. Normally I would have laser grids too, but I didn't have them in my house. They're in my car still. But I've had shadow figures occasionally go by. Those are really hard to capture because they always move quick. But I do have several videos of them going by. Oh, it shows 2 here for me, 2 people watching. I am going to have to end this, so it's getting late and I need to get some sleep here. I know I'm kind of an insomniac. Spirit, can you light something else up besides a cat ball, please? Not gonna do it? Well, anyways, thank you for watching. And if you don't mind subbing and liking the video, I would appreciate it. It's hard getting people to sub and like. I think people just usually pop in and then take off. They don't know what the hell is going on. Even though the name should be a little bit of a giveaway, you know, spirits talk, spirits speak. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. So I don't know what time it is where you're at, but either good night or have a good day. No, I don't have my portal on. They drain the battery. It's a battery pack in the back. They actually drained it like the first 20 minutes. So I have to charge it. Yeah, I'll probably do another video tomorrow night. Hopefully it'll be working better. Sasha, would you quit squirming around? Little squirmy dog. All right. Good night, guys.